Hi everyone, I'm Avalon Peyton, and today I'll be presenting my capstone titled The Retail Renovation, How Can Design Save the Industry? So this presentation I broke into 4 different sections, first being an introduction of me, my committee, and the thesis problem and question. Next, I'll go through the findings of a literature review. After that, I'll go through the research agenda, which consisted of a survey and comparative analysis. And last but not least, the creative agenda will propose a design solution for the thesis problem. So first, a little introduction. Some things about me. I'm a 4th-year interior design student with a business administration minor, and I will be continuing my education in the Media Arts and Technology Master's program next year at RIT. And the retail transition has inspired me to research the brick and mortar retail industry, as well as the e-commerce industry, with hopes to create a renovated method of shopping, improving the customer experience. Next, I'd like to introduce my committee. Mary Golden, who is my committee chair. She is the undergraduate program director from the BFA Interior Design program here at RIT. And next we have Marco Kennelly Ullman here with us today. He is the Director of Retail Design at Studio Supret. And last but not least, Santino Dorenzo, who is the Group Director of Store Design at Chanel Fragrance and Beauty. Thank you all for being here today. So now I'll introduce the thesis problem. Retail stores are closing at a rapid rate, and this began prior to the coronavirus pandemic. 7,300 stores just in the US closed in 2019, and 12,200 retail stores closed in 2020. This proves that this was a problem prior to the pandemic, but it's clear that it didn't help. This leads me to the thesis question. Are we stuck within a paradigm within the retail market? So the next section is the literature review. I'll go through some of the findings. The findings can be broken into 5 categories. These categories are: what are retailers doing wrong? What are some advantages of shopping in person? Some advantages of shopping online. Who and what do closing retail stores affect? And how do we keep people shopping in person? So first section of research, what are retailers doing wrong? Retailers are putting high amounts of money towards maintaining merchandise instead of doing things that directly benefit the customer. Instead of investing in the relocating, unpacking, folding, and restocking of merchandise, this money could be put towards something else that more directly benefits the shopper. For example, creating a more immersive and desirable experience. Many companies are trying to give consumers what they think they want without actually knowing. By taking the consumer's wants into consideration, it is more likely that these companies will succeed through the transition from online to in-person shopping. The second section of research mentions some of the positives of shopping in person. These include instant gratification, a greater understanding of goods, and socializing and exercising. Though brick and mortar shops are closing, there are still positives to shopping in person that can't be provided from an online store. For example, when shopping in person, you get an instant gratification from the objects that you buy. Next, it is often difficult to understand the true quality and materiality of clothing from your computer screen. On the other hand, in a brick and mortar store, you can touch, see, and feel the product. It gives the customer more confidence when purchasing. This is important, especially when buying clothes. And lastly, there is no aspect of socializing or walking around when you're shopping online, but this can be provided from an in-person store. The next section of research is the online shopping advantages. So these include decreased exposure to illness, access to a greater variety of goods, and it's much more convenient. So even before the coronavirus pandemic, people were concerned about getting sick in retail stores. Not only is there a lower risk of catching a cold, but there is also access to a much greater variety of goods when shopping online. Instead of driving to multiple store locations to find what you are looking for, you can just open up a new tab and hit search. This is all available from the comfort of your own home, making it much more convenient. And the fourth section of research is who and what does this transition affect? Retail workers, the economy, and some hospitality industries can be affected as well. Retailing is a vitally important industry which employs hundreds of millions of people around the world, and even more depend on their roles as suppliers, logistic partners, and service providers. With the downfall of the retail industry, it is expected that unemployment rates rise, and along with job loss comes a poor economy. This might additionally affect hospitality-based environments that are related to retail, such as restaurants and cafes. Governments, too, will need to be very aware of these threats and modify public policy to help, or at the very least, not hinder the profound restructuring process that is going to have to occur. There is no stopping this transition of retail methods. Meanwhile, when evaluating the negatives that could be associated with this change, it is easier to avoid them. In the fifth section of research, how to keep customers shopping in person. The first step is change. Retailers and brands need to do a complete reset and throw out a lot of the operating assumptions they've been making over the past 15 to 20 years. Retail stores must redirect their spending and get rid of their glorified warehouses full of inventory that no one can be sure anyone is going to want to buy. And more money can be put towards innovative products, strong service levels, and a robust ethical supply chain. Marketing should focus more on building relationships with the customer. So the next section is the research agenda. I will talk through the results of a survey I composed and also the comparative analysis between online shopping and in-person shopping. So first, I put out a survey that had 83 respondents. The most important information gathered from this survey came from a select few of the questions. Some open-ended questions gathered information in terms of what people remember after they visit a retail store. A large percentage of the answers spoke of an interactive and advanced experience that they participated in. Some included a golf swing simulator, green screens, lighting options, climbing walls to test climbing shoes, and an in-store basketball court available to try out basketball shoes. These immersive activities in stores are used as a tool to assist the consumer in grasping a greater understanding of the product they are purchasing. This is something all companies should be considering as stores continue to adjust to the wants and needs of the consumers. Many surveyors stated that their favorite stores were based off of the activities that they enjoy. For example, the Home Depot is my favorite store because I like to build things, someone answered. Another aspect of shopping that people really appreciate is the layout of stores. Many people mentioned that their favorite stores are easy to navigate or that they are in and out in 15 minutes. This is evidence that people appreciate being able to walk throughout the store without assistance from employees. Some key information came from 3 specific survey questions. The first one, what is your preferred method of shopping? Almost half of those surveyed answered in person. Only 24% answered online, and 30% said they have no preference. So this proves that people still want to shop in person. There must be something else causing their retail stores to close. The second question, what do you most enjoy about shopping in person? Almost everyone surveyed answered that their favorite thing about shopping in person is the ability to touch and see and try on the products they are looking at. And the third question, what do you most enjoy about shopping online? More than half of those surveyed answered they appreciate online shopping for the convenience of it. So now I'll go into the comparative analysis between in-person and online shopping. To begin, the use of online shopping has risen consistently throughout the past few years. Online shopping is incomparable to in-person shopping for three main reasons. First off, it is convenient. You don't need to leave your house to find what you're looking for. All you need to do is type. Second, there is a large variety of products available at your fingertips. You can buy a television, open a new tab, and buy some makeup. These two things cannot be found often in a single store. Lastly, when shopping online, you're able to compare and contrast prices in order to find the best deal. This is difficult to do in a brick and mortar store because in that case, shopper would have to drive from store to store in order to save money. The biggest disadvantage when shopping online, according to those surveyed, is not being able to try on, feel, or see the product being purchased. This can result in surprise or disappointment when products arrive. And that's another negative of shopping online. You have to wait for the products to arrive. One of the greatest satisfactions of shopping in person is being able to leave the store with the purchased items. This is something that online shopping lacks. Companies like Amazon consider this need for immediate satisfaction by shortening the time between the ordering and the arriving of a product. Amazon Prime members pay money each month in order to receive faster, cheaper shipping than other users. Meanwhile, it can still take 2 or more days for products to arrive, depending on availability and stock of the product. Some of the most commonly mentioned negatives of shopping in stores is that it takes too much time, the right sizes aren't always in stock, and it can be exhausting. There are times too when items online go out of stock, but in this case, consumers are able to pre-order them or be notified when they're back in stock. Overall, there are certain characteristics in both online and in-person shopping that can't be found in the other. This capstone investigation aims to consider how an in-person store experience can somehow combine the positive aspects of shopping in general and remove as many of the negatives as possible, all while uncovering a new retail experience. So the fourth section of this presentation is the creative agenda, and this is a proposed design solution for the thesis problem. It is the interior designer's space plan to help navigate a user throughout a retail setting, with the intent of optimizing the buying experience. This creative portion of this project reevaluates the path of purchase for customers, invigorating the buying experience so that people will feel excited and encouraged to continue shopping at brick and mortar stores. The proposed solution is titled Scan. The current purchase path taken in a retail store typically consists of entering, browsing, waiting in line, purchasing, and leaving. By using the consumer experience modeled in the restaurant industry, arriving, then being seated and served as inspiration, the process of the entire experience is altered. By allowing the consumer to enter, then immediately sit down as one would in a restaurant, the exhaustion of walking around the store is eliminated. Scan is a unique retail experience that focuses on you. There are three main focal points. First being the consumer, the focus is on you. How can in-person retail be improved for the customer? The next focal point is interaction. Scan allows interaction with technology and other consumers when using the provided system. And third, technology. The use of technology assists in the customization of each consumer's experience based on their personal preferences. This capstone proposes a new buying sequence, wherein the buyer enters the brick and mortar store into a lounge space where they can shop from the Scan application on their phone. This app connects them to their party members, so they are then able to share items as they browse. Once items are ordered, the user is paired with a Scan station, where their ordered items have been served for their perusal. Step 1, sitting down at the Scan lounge. According to my survey, people are extremely lazy When I asked what people enjoy the least about shopping in stores, most people agreed that it's much too tiring. This is why users are prompted to sit down as soon as they arrive. This eliminates that exhaustion of walking around the store. So the scan lounge is located adjacent to the scan stations, and there are varied seating types for parties as little as 1 and up to parties of 6. Step 2, logging in to the scan application. So from the scan lounge, users are able to log in or create an account while sitting with their friends, family, or whoever they might be shopping with. After selecting their party size, they can then connect with their party and keep in touch throughout the shopping experience. Next, after users create their account and input their payment method, they are able to move forward by scanning the store's QR code. The application is solely based off of the store in which you are using it. So the QR code makes sure you're looking at the correct items. While browsing, you also have the ability to share items with someone in your group, assuming that they would like them too. They can then have that item added to their cart, giving them the ability to try it on as well. Once they are ready, consumers can press Try On, which sends their order in and they are given a wait time. Once the time is up, a station number and QR code will appear on their screen, allowing only them into that station, which has their order displayed and ready for them to try it on. And that leads us to step 3, trying on your items at the scan station. When you scan into the station, your app automatically is connected with the smart mirror. You can see here that your cart and your personal profile appear. There are additional options that allow you to customize your try-on experience. The station is customizable by manufacturer brand experience as well as by the customer, including options to connect Spotify, Apple Music, ESPN, and more. The scan stations are customizable with options for lighting. Multicolored bulbs are used to create the simulation of different weather and lighting conditions. For example, if trying on a bathing suit, the buyer may adjust the lighting to beach glow in order to see what the garment looks like at the beach in the summer. In contrast, a winter coat or sweater can be tried on with the snowy effect. So here is a diagram of a blank scan station. This allows for customization and branding to be incorporated by the store in which it takes place. All stations, meanwhile, should be equipped with a smart mirror, a UV cleaning light that addresses sanitary concerns, and those multicolored bulbs mentioned previously. There are speakers that allow your personal music to play, as well as shelving opportunity for items to be displayed nicely prior to entering. In addition, a Lazy Susan inspired hanging rod can be used to discard unwanted items. This can also be used to allow the entry of new items. For example, if you need a different size of an item you tried on, you request a new one on the app. You are given a new wait time, and once it is up, you are able to turn the system, allowing new items to enter. Then they will be added to your price list. The cart and price on your mirror is updated each time a new item goes in or out of the station. This way you can keep track of your total throughout the process. And last but not least, because the buyer's payment information is linked to their account before they are allowed to shop, customers are able to walk out of the store as soon as they are done shopping. Whatever price they last saw on their screen is what they are charged when they leave. This allows for a contactless purchase system and removes the pain of waiting in a line after already being exhausted from shopping. By creating an exciting addition to the buying experience, it is expected that people will show a renewed interest in going to brick and mortar shops and enjoy the experience of shopping once again. Thank you all for listening, and thanks again to my committee. This wouldn't have been possible without your expertise and willingness to help. I now open the floor to any questions.
Okay. I'm not sure if it's up to the committee to start the question.
Actually, we will start with Terry first. She'll take
Okay.
15 minutes, and then Santino, you and Marco will each have 5 minutes each.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Avalon, for this unique shopping experience with with everything that's going on and with new technology. I love the idea of
Thank you.
rethinking how we're shopping and sort of bridging the gap between in-person and online. I'm wondering if you can elaborate a little bit more on what in your concept parallels the joys that you find of the in-person retail experience. You talked about people enjoying the retail or the in-person experience because it's either a hobby that they like, maybe it's their sporting goods store, or they like building things. I think in your manuscript you also talked about just the different, like I think it was Target or a couple other stores that people really like. I'm just wondering how this scan platform mimics that in-person experience.
Yeah, so the main inspiration that came through with this is the ability to feel and see and try on the products, because that's what's mostly lacking from the online market. So I kind of took the part of the online market where you're in control of what you're looking at and when, and just it's instantly because it's at your fingertips. But then instead of having to wait for those items to show up, you can wait 8 minutes and then you're able to try them on and see immediately if they're what you wanted and what you expected, instead of waiting 5 to 10 days and then getting them and then realizing, oh, this isn't what I thought it was. So it's mainly just being able to try them on and see them right away and then be able to walk away with them as you would in a retail store.
So one of the things you mentioned is that this platform will shift the way that the warehouse experiences, that you don't have to store as much. I'm just wondering, it's pre-Christmas, it's the rush, it's, I don't know, Black Friday, and everybody's out shopping and everybody is using scan. How do you assure that I'm not going through this app picking several things and it's like, no, that side's out, no, that side's out, like that material's out? One of the benefits I think of an in-person experience is that you are actually physically there on the shelf going, oh, there's no red, okay, I'll pick the green. Is there an equal sort of responsive design in your concept?
So initially the design was that this was all that there was in a store, but then because of that and people wanting to still be able to participate in the normal shopping experience, this kind of turned into an addition to that experience. So yeah, so like you can still browse the store if that's what you would prefer to do, and especially if you're shopping around the holidays. I know it gets crazy, but this is more meant to be like an experience similar to like if you were to go out to dinner with your friends. You can catch up with them, kind of more of a social gathering, because we've been lacking that so much the past few months. But yeah, it's more of a section inside of a retail store, so that experience is still provided as well.
I see. So this is sort of a separate experience from your
Yeah.
classical person.
Yes.
So yeah, where did you get the parallel to the restaurant? I mean, I love the idea that at a restaurant you're served, and this is similar to that. It actually reminds me a lot of Nordstrom. They have personal shoppers. You get an appointment, you come walk in, they put you in sort of a fitting room, and they bring you everything you're going to try on. I'm just wondering if you had looked at any of those sort of personal shopper models in creating this concept. And
Not really. I more kind of was looking at the food market. So like if you go to Panera and order on the kiosk and then you just pick up your food, it was kind of more inspired by the restaurant scene versus the retail scene.
And are there materials, like one of the things I think you had mentioned is that materiality, being able to feel and touch and feel the weight of things. I'm assuming this is more clothing retail versus
Yeah.
clothing material. Um, is there a platform where if I see this shirt that I love, that I can really feel it before I have to call and request it in that try on room? I guess the steps to engagement in your model feels very slow, not as immediate as in person, and it makes me wonder how it really is different than if I were to shop online, do everything in the comfort of my home, make an appointment and just go try it on. What's the
Okay.
benefit of that first step?
Yeah. It's pretty much just shortening the time between ordering and taking it home with you. But yeah, I completely understand where you're coming from. That makes sense.
Yeah, I'm also thinking like, I don't know, part of my fun of shopping with friends is joking, finding something, throwing it to the other person and saying, hey, you should try this on, or oh my gosh, did you see this? There's like this real exchange that I wondered, since you had that smart mirror, if you could take that to the step before. And in the selection process, you take a photo of your face. Like my kids do this at the museum. They have these things where they make you into a superhero. You know, could you and your friends take photos of your face and almost like swipe through on a big screen so that you are looking at these products in full size versus on my little, I mean, I love my phone. I'm addicted to my phone. We all are,
Yeah.
but it's not the same as seeing it in full size. And if I was going to an in-person experience and I wanted to have this curated experience, I think it could be fun to go with a girlfriend, similar to when I bought my wedding dress. They bring you a glass of wine, you're all sitting in the room, you're choosing things from each other. And I thought, you already have the concept of the smart mirror. I wonder if there was a way that you took each other's photos and could almost pass smart mirror to smart mirror. Hey, you should try this on, or hey, look at this on you, and sort of almost throw it on them. And there would be this full size virtual model to really shift the whole in-person, I mean, shift the whole paradigm of in-person and online shopping and really take it. I mean, I know that we haven't developed it yet, but this isn't, this is an academic experience. And I'm thinking,
Yeah.
let's think big, let's think really innovative. Like, is there a way to not have to actually go to the try-on room because you've seen it virtually until you actually know exactly how it might fit and look and feel on your body? I just wonder if there's a little bit, you've got all the tools there. And I'm
Yeah.
just wondering if we can take that another step and
Yeah.
really enhance that shopping experience.
Yeah, for sure.
And also wondering, when you were talking about this being a way to save the in-person retail experience, this entire concept feels very expensive. You'd need a separate room for 1 to 6 people. What's your anticipated return? Will people buy more if they're in this scenario? Like, I always think that, when we were designing retail point of purchase kiosks, the whole idea was impulse buys. How can I create as many quick serve countertop displays so someone will like say, okay, yeah, let's throw in those socks, let's throw in that keychain, throw in the scarf, the sunglasses.
Yeah.
What had you thought, or maybe you didn't think about it, what was your thought in terms of how this would actually save the in-person retail environment? What's the draw? What's the return on investment that a retailer would have for incorporating this kind of a system?
The key goal was just having something exciting that would bring people into the store once again. So maybe hearing about, oh, this certain store has this new technology, bring more people into the store, and just know like that people will be talking about the brand if there's a new experience in that store. So it was mostly just like the talk that would bring people in, and it's mostly aimed towards like people, I would say my age and like just, and even younger, like in middle school and high school. And I know social media is huge with people those in that age group. So a lot of it is kind of just having the consumers be the advertisers, and be talking to their friends and say, oh, I had this new experience in a store, and maybe that would bring more people out to the stores.
I mean, that's a great point, Avalon. I wonder if, like, in that last scene where you were talking about the mirrors and having all of those resources, it would be really interesting if there was a way someone could take a photo of themselves in that coat and that winter gear, post it immediately on social media and say, what do you
Yeah.
think? Yes or no? I mean,
Mhm.
people in that age category would respond and you would know if you were buying it. And in some way you can captivate that current trend to increase sales. You know, if like
Yeah.
20 of your friends were like, yes, you have to have it, you might be more convinced than if you were alone. So
Mhm.
um,
Yeah, I really like that idea. Thank you.
interesting. Yeah,
Thanks.
thank you. Mary, I think I don't have any further questions.
Okay, let's open it up to Marco and to Santino. You each have 5 minutes.
Santino, you want to go first, or you want
I can, yes.
Okay.
No, Terry had a whole lot of good points, which made me think about the whole process that got Avalon to our solution, the design solution for the thesis. And yes, cost was one thing that I was in my mind while following the presentation. I was like, okay, next step is like you have to price it. You know, so what this is going to cost, and but it's a big thing. It's a big problem, and trying to solve it, you know, with one idea, one concept, it obviously is going to it's not gonna we're not going to go that far. A lot of it in the industry, a lot of the creative and innovators are every day trying to crack that nut. And what I wanted to focus is it's more on Avalon's process to got her into the solution, and which would put the focus more on the original problem that she identified about what the retailer is doing wrong, and to focus more on the demand expectation from the customer, and less on the supply management. So obviously those are very big and very extended topics that I think she did. What she did particularly well is to pivot from a number of ideas at the very beginning into what seemed to be the most what's in your hand, basically, and an app to help to connect the dots between the positive of the online experience and the positive of the in-person. I think that she did well on that.
Thank you.
I think the ability of the Avalon to really to be so agile in such a complex solution, or she's trying to do it to have a solution, that was remarkable, I have to say. Marco?
Thank you, Santino.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I would. I mean, I do have a question about the presentation, but I do think it's worth starting with saying it was extremely gratifying to see that arc of your research and where we started on this. I don't even know what, 6 months ago, 7 months ago when we first, it was last year.
Yeah.
And then to see where we started, or where you started and where you ended, it was extremely, it was exciting to see. If I could ask a question though, as you were talking through this, and especially through these last set of questions, it made me think about an article I read of it was the Allbirds CEO was talking about his most effective marketing spend he's ever spent was building retail stores. And I think that's a pretty common feeling in retail, which is you're going to spend, you know, $1 million, $2 million, $5 million on a store. You need to make that a brand experience. And it seems like with this app, this is a kind of turnkey solution for retailers. So I was wondering if you thought of, or if you have any ideas on how a retailer could buy this app or this experience and then make it so that it represents their brand. So it's not so much, this doesn't become like a Starbucks of fitting rooms, right? Like every Starbucks you go into around the world, you can order a latte the same way. How would, as a retailer could take this and make this feel like it lives in their store? Like, what are the opportunities in this for that?
In terms of like certain brand wanting to own this system, or
Well, or maybe, I guess just maybe speak to it in general. Like, what's your vision on how people, like, do you want it to be that the scan app is the same at every store? So if I go into a New Balance store or to Nordstrom's, that experience is identical. Like all the tools are identical, they look identical, the processes are identical. Or do you think that there's opportunities for brands to say, okay, I'm going to take this backbone, this infrastructure, and make it part of how we speak to the consumer?
yeah, I definitely think in terms of customization by each brand, that was like a focus. That's why everything is kind of just a basis for what it could be, but that's why the diagram was completely blank, and like it's so that it can be made into their own. So I definitely don't want it to be the same in every store, because that just wouldn't work in terms of like if you're in a sneaker store versus if you're in a dress store, it's going to be a different thing. So yeah, I definitely think there's room for branding and customization for each company that uses it.
Well, like I said, to start with, really impressive what you've done through this. And yeah, it was really exciting to see it come to life over the last
Yeah.
month.
Thank you so much.
Hey, Avalon, can I ask another follow-up question? I'm just curious because I knew in your manuscript you talked about sort of that Matterport style sort of walk through store experience and being able to highlight things and sort of, is that right? Did you talk about that, or am I thinking of something else? Something else. Hold on, let me look at my notes again. I'm just curious how you came up with this idea of the app versus rethinking the in-person experience and the social aspect of it. I feel like your thesis was about increasing sales and increasing the in-person experiences. And as Marco pointed out, like, I think creating a retail experience is a big marketing opportunity for people. And often with a brand, having their name giant on a store that people drive by or can see is a really, really key aspect. I mean, the retail environment is not only for sales, but it's an opportunity to be visually branded. And I'm wondering, you were talking about this being a really word of mouth, right? So no one's going to know that you have Scan App in your store until someone else does it. So how do you get those early adapters to first join in on this app and say, hey, I want to use this, and then communicate about it? Because this marketing is purely based on word of mouth.
Yeah. I would say that the beginnings would just be maybe someone providing it in a store for just trying it out. So maybe we talked about a lot about having pop-up stations. So kind of getting people to try the experience maybe before they're even buying anything. And because a lot of restaurants right now have these outdoor spaces in front of their restaurants to provide more seating for people because of the capacity limit. So now that they've created all of these outdoor spaces, once we don't need to use them anymore, we talked about having using those spaces for maybe a pop-up experience of this. So that would be a way to get people involved in it and kind of excited about it, and maybe hearing like this is coming to a store soon. So try it out here and see if you like it type of thing.
So in essence, you would be an independent business. Is that what you're saying? Like you would almost be like the what is that called? The square of the retail business. Like I guess I'm wondering, is this sold to the business and they customize it like Marco was saying and create this really unique digital experience that is also in person? Or are you Scan, the brand, pushing yourself so all the retailers start using it, like Level Up or like Square or any other point of
I would say it's like a mixture in terms of that. So Scan is the brand, but it helps you further portray your brand and your experience of your store. So it's not its own, the design of it is just a basis right now, but say your brand adapted it, it would be customized to that brand and use.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You can go ahead.
No, well, so I guess, so if I was doing a retail marketing push for a store, would I be sitting there saying, I'm going to message that we have the Scan app to the consumer? Like if I'm going to spend $200,000 on a weekend event, right?
Yeah.
Am I saying, come to my store because I've got the Scan app? Or am I saying like, hey, come shop in a new way that you've never shopped in before with your friends in this communal kind of fun loungy area with a new type of try on experience? Or is it like, hey, I got Scan, like you know what I mean? Like which way do you think that this thing develops into?
I would say less of saying this is the Scan app and more of it being an experience. Maybe people know it is the Scan experience, but it's more about the company and the brand in which it takes place.
So Avalon, the way I read this is that it's basically as a kilo parts, a digital kilo parts, where like you have the phone app, you have the mirror technology, you have the lighting and audio, video, whatever. It's a package of tools, digital tools to facilitate the purchasing and the browsing at point of sale. That could be developed by the brand on their own.
Yeah.
I mean, like you have to say you selling the concept, but then it's up to the retailer to provide the actual, depending on what they sell, to provide the environment.
Yeah,
To
so it's
capture
pretty
it
much,
and recruit more a younger customer, to recruit a new customer, and then therefore like creating this social, like hyper social experience with the lounge idea and so other ideas, that it's one of many. It depends
yes.
depending on what it is the retailer sells. So that's what I read. It's not specifically trying to like use the app for everything, or like to solve all single problem with that, because there are different type of every retailer has trying to bridge online and point of sale, like a brand like Bonobos and so on. And like you could try on digital try on as big in the cosmetic world, in the eyewear. So there's a lot of development. But what I read that what you did in your thesis is to have a kilo parts of digital kilo parts.
Yeah, like a
to offer.
guidebook.
Is that's what your intention, right?
Yeah, just like a guide pretty much through an experience.
Because the survey revealed two things. There's convenience and experience. So convenience, you try to bridge the convenience and the experience.
Yeah.
Just basically, is the big unicorn in the retail world.
Yes, exactly.
Avalon, I would just make the one suggestion that I could totally, now that hearing you talk about it a little bit more, it seems like the next thing that I would love to have heard more about is just an example of how this is used in a specific brand. Like
Yeah.
now I can even picture this in a toy store. So my kid goes with a bunch of his friends and they have this little virtual wall that shows them either how to try on a jacket or try on a costume or try on a toy. And then, maybe it's my parents' generation that just wants to know, like, how does it look and feel before they fully try it on? Like my parents' generation, they don't want to try on anything in the store.
Yeah.
Sort of virtual try on before they had to take it home.
Mhm.
But it feels to me like this is a promotional event app, right? This
Yeah.
is a way to say to a store, like, you're launching your spring line. Everybody come line up, make an appointment to come engage with it in this scan app. Or, summer season is coming up, like, swim season is a big one, right? So before you get into swim season, come take a look, have this experience, get ready before you go on vacation. But it feels like it would have been interesting to see all the different ways that this would have really engaged the customer from a user experience standpoint and helped elevate that in-person experience and then bridge that gap between online and in-person.
Yeah, I definitely had a time crunch, but I still am thinking about continuing the project for my portfolio. So that would be something cool I can add in afterwards. Thank you.
Okay, and thank you very much for everyone's comments. We're at time for the presentation. So congratulations, Avalon.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I'd like to extend a sincere thank you on behalf of RIT's Interior Design Program to Terry Lee and to our committee members, Marco and Santino, for their valuable feedback. We're indebted to you for your thoughtful cross-examination of our students' work. And I would also like to recognize and thank our moderator, Adriana Petrus, for helping behind the scenes. And we thank you, our audience, for your attention and support. The committee and the cross-examining scholar will now enter the breakout room for deliberations. And this completes the final oral defense for Avalon. You're all welcome to stay on the main call for the next presentation. Thank you all very much for attending and have a great day.